This is the brand new iPhone 14 Pro Max with Action Mode. Action Mode is a brand new stabilization mode inside the camera app on the 14 series phones. It's crazy good, it gives you ultra smooth footage, and it might be one of the most advanced stabilization systems on any phone. This is the brand new Feiyutech Scorp Mini. It's more than a smartphone gimbal though. It also stabilizes action cameras, mirrorless cameras, and point and shoots. I have my iPhone 13 Pro Max on this gimbal. We're gonna find out, can the iPhone 14 Pro Max with Action Mode replace this? So for those of you that don't know, Action Mode is a brand new stabilization mode found on the iPhone 14 series. It combines sensor shift stabilization, which we're on Gen 2 now, with digital stabilization that's applied during the processing after the video has been recorded. That's why when you're looking at the screen while you're recording a video, it's really shaky, but then when you play it back, it's like as smooth as butter. It's similar to how action cameras use digital stabilization, and it really does a great job on the new iPhone 14 series, especially the 14 Pro Max. So this is the iPhone 14 Pro Max using Action Mode, doing like a standard walking, talking type shot. So Dennis is walking backwards. Hopefully he doesn't die and trip because I don't have business insurance. And I am just talking to the camera, kind of like how we shoot our videos. So this is the iPhone 13 Pro Max on the Feiyutech Scorp Mini gimbal. Again, doing a walking, talking shot. Hopefully Dennis doesn't die, walking backwards or trip on a turtle. Anything could happen. But let me know what you think of the stabilization with the phone and the gimbal. So now we're doing a side-by-side because I just noticed something looking back at the footage on the phones. The iPhone 13 Pro Max is shooting in 4K and it's significantly wider than the iPhone 14 Pro Max with Action Mode shooting in 2.8K. Now this is to be expected considering it does have to do a crop in order to apply that digital stabilization, but it's a significant crop as you can see. So one thing I realized is that Action Mode always defaults to the ultra wide, which is smart because in the ultra wide, you're gonna get the most stable footage, but you could still use it with the main sensor, which was the test that we just showed you. However, it made me think the ultra wide is perfect for a vlog test. So this is Action Mode vlogging using the ultra wide on the iPhone 14 Pro Max. Now we're gonna do the same test using the gimbal on the iPhone 13 Pro Max and the ultra wide. All right, so now we switched over to the iPhone 13 Pro Max, still using the ultra wide. This time it's in 4K instead of 2.8K, and we're on a gimbal for stabilization. Again, vlog test. Let me know what you think. Okay, so here we have our side-by-side. We have the ultra wide in 2.8K Action Mode on the 14 Pro Max, and then 4K ultra wide on the 13 Pro Max using the gimbal. Let me know what you guys think. The ultra wide in Action Mode is definitely more cropped in versus the 13 Pro Max, which is just using the gimbal, and it's still in 4K versus 2.8K, so the footage should look a little bit sharper, a little bit clearer, and a little bit better. All right, so for this next test, we're gonna keep things simple and just do a side-by-side instead of individual video clips because we're shooting with the 3X on each of these cameras. So the iPhone 13 Pro Max, 3X using the gimbal, and then Action Mode using the 3X on the 14 Pro Max. And I'm hovering over a giant hole of doo-doo, and I hope I don't fall. So let's do this. Ready? Sideways walking shot. Let's go. So this is the test. Let me know which one you think is more stable. I know that the iPhone 13 Pro Max is probably wider, and I'm going to go under this tree like a bus, and I don't even know I'm in frame anymore, and we're still doing this. This is how it is. It is bright now. We are inside. Do I look like am I? So here's what we're gonna do. We're at a children's park. I'm a child. I'm like 7. He's gonna chase me. And by he, I mean Dennis, and we're gonna do like this little obstacle course. I'm gonna run, jump up on that bench, jump off the bench, run up this playground, and then slide down. And this is probably gonna be the best case for Action Mode versus the gimbal, where Action Mode is just gonna blow the gimbal away. But let's do this. You ready, Dennis? What settings do we have? We're in the standard wide, shooting in 2.8K in Action Mode.
I think I gotta pause it to try that.
And he didn't hit the record in the right mode. Story of my life. Okay, we're back. He's in the right mode. We're ready to do this. Here goes my audition to Ninja Warrior. Here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh God! I'm stuck. And that's it. Okay, so now we have the iPhone 13 Pro Max on the Feiyutech Scorp Mini gimbal. I have a feeling this one's gonna be a little bit more difficult. We went ahead and calibrated the gimbal to make sure that it's in peak performance, and we also put it in greater than sports mode. It's like FFW plus with a little lightning bolt. So we're gonna see how this works. Ready? Again, audition for Ninja Warrior, Princess. 1, 2, 3. Here we go again. Oh, my back. Ah, I hit the back really hard. Oh, it knocked the wind out of me. Okay, so I know what you guys are thinking. What would it be like if we took the iPhone 14 Pro Max, put it in action mode, and then put that on the gimbal? I got you. No worries, we're gonna do that now. This is my third audition for Ninja Warrior Princess Diaries Edition. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Oh God, I hit this hole. This sucks. Oh, I did it. You ran down it, that's not fair. So now we're gonna do a running test. We're gonna start with the iPhone 14 Pro Max using action mode, 2.8K. We're using the standard lens. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. That was a damn good spin. Okay, so now this is on the iPhone 13 Pro Max, again on the gimbal, and we're gonna do a running test. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. So this is gonna be the last test that we do outside under direct sunlight, and then we're gonna move on to a low light test. But for this, I'm gonna run up those stairs and then run down the stairs because this should be pretty interesting. So let's go ahead and do that. So here we go. Stair test with the iPhone 14 Pro Max in action mode. Here we go. All right, and now we'll go down. Hopefully I don't die. Pretty shaky. So now we're gonna do the iPhone 13 Pro Max stair test on the Scorp Mini. Let's do this. And I am getting my exercise in for today and possibly a suntan. So here it goes, stairway to heaven. Line this up, double press, and here we go. I can definitely feel the gimbal rocking on this. That does, either I'm a terrible gimbal operator or this is actually like the one that's going to get this gimbal. All right. Okay, so for this last test, we're inside of a parking garage because it's still daylight outside, but I want to do a low light test since right now it's telling me that more light is required in order to use action mode. However, if you go into the camera settings within the main settings, you can toggle on low light with action mode and it allows it to get a little bit better performance in a low light situation like this. So let's compare action mode on the 14 Pro Max to the gimbal with the 13 Pro Max. So here we go. Action mode in low light. And I'm just going to run forward. So I just realized when I did that test, I was actually running towards the light over here, and it still said more light required, but it may not be a true representation of low light. So now I'm gonna run in this direction, and as you can see over here, if you point the camera over there, you can see it's much darker. So this should be a better representation. So here we go. So this is action mode in the standard lens in 2.8K. So running test. So now we have the iPhone 13 Pro Max on the Scorp Mini from Feiyutech, when we're gonna take off running this way first, and then we'll come back this way. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so for the final test, we're gonna run back in the darker direction versus towards the light. Again, iPhone 13 Pro Max on the Feiyutech gimbal. Gotta say, I was really impressed with that first run. Here we go. So there you go. What do you guys think of action mode on the brand new iPhone 14 series? Do you think it can replace a gimbal? Personally, I don't really think so, unless you're only wanting stable video. If that's the only thing you care about, you don't care about resolution, you don't care about frame rates, you just want a smooth video for family videos during the day, then sure, I guess action mode could technically replace a gimbal. But had to get my sunglasses because my cameraman's a bit of an asshole and he wants me to face towards the sun for this shot. The gimbal just offers way more functionality than action mode could ever bring, especially the Scorp Mini here. For instance, there's only so much mobility in your wrist, so if you're trying to get like a tracking shot and chase somebody, such as the little shot that we did inside of the playground, well, you can only like tilt your wrist to a certain degree before like you just break your wrist. However, with the gimbal, you have a lot more mobility. Like, depending on the mode that you're in, you can point up, you can point down, or I can go into underslung mode and do, you know, a low to the ground shot like this versus having to kind of like, you know, do like a little shuffle like this. Like, what the hell is that? What is this? I look like a damn crab. Can't do that. Can't do that with action mode, but with the gimbal, I can. This is a great gimbal. Like, this is one of the best gimbals that I have ever used. And at the time of this video, the Osmo Mobile 6 just released today. Just released today. And it's like 160 bucks, 150 bucks. And at the time of this video, if you use the link in the description, you can get the Scorp Mini for like $60 more. And I'm telling you now, this gimbal has blown me away with its touchscreen. It has like 6 or 7 different modes. It has built-in keyframing. It can support mirrorless cameras like an A7S III with like a small lightweight lens, no cage or anything, but still really impressive for this. And it kind of is modular. So like you can see, I have like a little magnetic light here, and they also have other attachments that you can pop onto it. I don't know, I'm really impressed. I'm not trying to like give you a sales pitch or anything like that. Feiyutech didn't sponsor this video, but you could see in the footage how impressive and how stable my iPhone 13 Pro Max is. Like, it's just a great gimbal. And don't even get me started on battery life. We've been using this thing all day and I'm still at full battery. Like, how is that even possible? We have barely turned this gimbal off. It stayed on most of the day and it's still a full battery. So really impressive. Overall, I can't recommend this thing enough. In conclusion, even if you already have an iPhone 14 series device, I still think a gimbal is worth it because it doesn't replace action mode. In fact, it adds on to the capabilities of the brand new camera system on the iPhone 14 devices. And when you pair action mode with this gimbal, my God, like you're just floating. You're like on a magic carpet going through life. It's quite incredible. Also, with the new camera system on the iPhone 14 Pro and 14 Pro Max, you get larger sensors, you get better looking 4K video, you get cinematic mode now in 4K and 4K HDR. So there's a lot of capabilities on the new camera system that pair beautifully with a gimbal. So my advice, if you already have an iPhone 14 and you have the budget, a gimbal is a great tool to keep in your arsenal to get more dynamic shots, especially a gimbal that can grow with you if you don't already own a mirrorless or point and shoot camera. And if you don't have an iPhone 14 and you're jealous of action mode, you don't need action mode. Just get yourself a gimbal and you can get smoother footage. And you'll thank me later because you saved a little bit of money. That said, really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider giving this video a thumbs up, subscribe for more videos just like this, and I'm gonna go stabilize myself. I just sprained my ankle. Jesus Christ.